Hello, fellow Pops. I'm Dr. F Scott Feil, and I'm bringing you a message from our sponsor at Ice Shaker. My diet's always been a little bit messed up most of my life, and I recently started trying to take back control of my health. And one of the issues my doctor pointed out was that I needed to make an increase in my protein intake. Now, I can't eat chicken breasts all day, every day, so protein shakes and powders have become a big help. Ice Shaker and its built-in removable agitator is an amazing product. They come in a bunch of sizes and colors, and you can even get inscriptions and logos on them. They're stainless steel, double wall insulated, and hold ice for 30 plus hours. If you're interested in purchasing one, you can click on the link in our show notes. Or if you're interested in selling them for your business and making commission, and let's be honest, if you're listening to the Professors of Profit vlogcast and you can consider yourself a pop or a professor of profit, you're likely interested in selling these as a side hustle. You can click on that link in the show notes as well. Or you can reach out to me directly on social media. I'm pretty available there. I love Ice Shaker, and I'm betting you, your patients, and your clients will too. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up. Now let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil. I've got two old friends of mine. We were just talking a little bit before how we probably haven't talked since about pre-COVID 2020. So Dr. Karl and Dr. Paul Ochian. Guys, you guys have what I'd like to call a digital marketing agency, but one of the special twists on it is it's really focused on SEO, search engine optimization. And I think my audience will appreciate diving into that today because we just haven't done that much. So I'll let you guys take it away. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and we'll dive right into what SEO is.
Perfect. Thanks so much, man, for having us. This is a pretty nice full circle moment, from interviewing you in 2020 to now being here. So thank you so much. To introduce myself, I am Dr. Karl Jr. I am a doctor of physical therapy, new grad that graduated last December. So I have been out here in these physical therapy streets on my own now for quite a little bit of time. And while I was in school, I started a SEO / digital marketing company with my boy here, Paul. So we just have really niched down and really just kind of decided that it was a need that we felt we could fill. And we saw that a lot of people weren't really well versed in SEO and what that entails, right? We hear so much about the Facebook ads and the social media marketing and everything like that, but people don't really know about SEO and what that all entails. And so that was a gap we saw in the marketplace that we were like, oh, we could definitely fill that in. Now here we are.
Yeah, my name is Paul. Not a doctor, unfortunately. Started as a pre-PT, then decided business was a way for me. But I appreciate the title nonetheless. I will claim it wholeheartedly. Hopefully one day I can be a commencement speaker and I can get one of those, honorable ones so I could start calling myself Dr. Paul. But yeah, in the business with Karl, we've been in it for a little time now. Everything he said is 100% on point. I don't think there's anything I could add on to that. I am more the visionary, I guess I'll call myself that. In the business, I just sit around and have ideas all day, and then we execute on them things. Do a ton of stuff. I do what Karl doesn't do, and Karl does what I don't do. In relation to, I will say that he is like the genius of the two of us. And he's very, 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 very smart when it comes to SEO. I can communicate it, but not at high enough of a level as he can. So I'll be very upfront about that. However, with that in mind, I do take time with our people as well to just talk about sales, talk about creation, talk about the process of like being able to once you get that audience organically, what do you do with them to get them to convert? So that's more what I do in our business. But yeah, we've been doing it for a while. Enjoy it. But SEO is the way to go for real. It has its place in marketing for sure.
Well, first off, it's always nice to have a yin and a yang, right? To have somebody that complements what you can and can't do for your business. Strengths and weaknesses, those even out.
that works well, I think, with many businesses. If you're going to partner up, it's better to have two unlike people than it is two like people, I think, because the minds don't clash as much. You don't go head to head as much, right? You have people evening each other out, which is nice. But that being said, let's dive into it, man. Let's get into search engine optimization, or SEO, as the kids are calling it these days. Tell us a little bit about what it is and what you guys do as far as helping your clients with SEO. And it's cool, I think, to recognize too that, you know, this is something that we're going to need for healthcare. This is something that I had to learn, you know, on my own, and know that I was not good enough at it to do it myself. So outsource as much as I could. But let's talk about it. What is it? And what do you guys do? What kind of services do you guys provide?
Perfect. So SEO is essentially a way to grow your business, grow your brand organically without the help of ads, whether it be Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever medium you want to use. So SEO is, really simply put, a very good way to be able to show yourself or put yourself out there to your target audience from an organic standpoint. And one of the reasons why we kind of gravitated towards SEO as well was because we realized that just from even a basic entrepreneurial standpoint, a lot of times you become an entrepreneur and in your head, you want to see the 5 figures, the 6 figures tomorrow, you know, and we know well enough, it doesn't work like that. You have to go through the bumps, you have to go through the bruises. Like, there's no such thing as, you know, quick success as an entrepreneur. You know, you have your stories where it's like, okay, like it happened relatively fast for them, but we know the typical curve does not operate like that. And so for us, we saw with SEO, a lot of people in the marketing and digital marketing space in healthcare weren't really focused on SEO, right? Because it's very difficult to be able to converse with the client, a potential client, and tell them, hey, this stuff works, but we need about 6 months to a year before you start seeing some results. And a lot of times people don't want to hear that, right? They want people in the door tomorrow, you know? And so for us, we really appreciated the beauty and the struggle, so to speak, to where we can start a campaign with a client, you know, and then a couple months down the road, they're like, oh my gosh, this stuff really does work, you know, as opposed to spending a ton of money in an ad campaign. And it's like, yeah, it's great for now. But eventually you get kind of tired of spending all that revenue in ads on a daily basis. And so that's kind of how we gravitated towards SEO and how we've really put ourselves down in healthcare, you know, to really take care of our healthcare peeps as far as SEO goes.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're going to show up on Google, right, on the first page, if we're going to have people find us organically, like you said, right, we need to have certain things in place, and there needs to be certain things being done behind the scenes in order to do that, right? Google doesn't just, you know, pick a rabbit out of a hat and say, I don't know, maybe here you go, right? That's why it's a successful search engine. So tell us a little bit about, you know, what are some of the things that somebody who is maybe barely competent in SEO or kind of just knows the basics, what are some things that they need to be focusing on if they're going to start looking to get organic search results and have people searching for them and them coming up on the other end of the search?
So from a very basic foundational standpoint, right, because we can get very technical here, but a very basic part or foundation for every SEO project that we do for clients is keywords, right? And people, a lot of the time you talk to them and you ask them, oh, what do you know about SEO? And they may say, oh, keywords, right? And it's like, yes, keywords is a part of it. It's not the entire part, but it's a really good way to lay a solid foundation for a great SEO campaign in the long run. So for those who are thinking, okay, keywords, what is that? Or how does that even relate? Think about the last time you opened up a browser, whether it's via your mobile phone or whether it's via your computer, desktop, and you went to Google and you typed in something that you were curious about, right? Maybe it was a TV show, maybe, you know, you were hungry and you were craving Chinese food and you're like, I wonder what, you know, Chinese restaurants are around me, right? So maybe you go into Google and your keyword that you will use is Chinese food around me, or best Chinese food near me, or if you're in Orlando, best Chinese food in Orlando, right? Google's job is then to take that inquiry that you just put in and put the best available information for that keyword in front of you. And so these keywords are a huge part of how you're found online, because if you're associated with whatever that keyword is and you've done a good job of focusing on being able to build your SEO stuff around your website, and if you have a brick and mortar around your brick and mortar business, then it all coincides for you to be able to be found via whatever keyword it is. But the other aspect of it is a lot of times, and you know, you don't know what you don't know, but we'll have clients that will be sitting there talking to, you know, or potential clients, and the question that we ask is, hey, what's a keyword that you think would be relevant for you? Or what's a keyword that you think would be good for your niche? You know, and for physical therapists, we talk to, they'll say something like knee pain, right? Or back pain. And while that's great, those are pretty competitive keywords, you know, and people don't understand that there are keywords that are qualifiable and are good that you should go after based off, you know, how long your website has been on the internet. If you have any other rapport online, people are sending links to your website, whatever the case may be. But we often have to kind of redirect the conversation. And it's like, okay, knee pain, back pain, that's a great start. But what if we dissected that even more? And instead of just knee pain, we said something, we had a keyword that said something like knee pain while running, or knee pain from playing basketball, or insidious knee pain from playing sports. Like longer, we call those long tail keywords in SEO, right? And those are keywords that oftentimes 4 words or longer, that you might be able to get more bang for your buck because they're lower competition. And while everyone else who has no idea what SEO is composed of is thinking, well, I'm just going to go for knee pain and back pain, you're able to finesse the system because you understand, yeah, knee pain and back pain, that's cute, but there's something over here that you guys aren't seeing, and I can get the upper hand from that. So keywords, huge foundational part of any SEO campaign, and really one of the best ways to get yourself in front of your target audience.
Yeah, I love that. And that is something, again, that I kind of found out the hard way. I had to do some deep diving to figure out, like, oh, okay, everybody's competing for those big terms that seem like they should be easy. And that's because they are, but they also cost a lot of money. So I get that. Paul, you know, as the visionary here, why should somebody like a professor or a new grad or a student in healthcare look into starting maybe an SEO type based agency, or, you know, getting into digital marketing and focusing on SEO? Because you felt it important enough that you kind of diverted from healthcare to then dive into it, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-part answer if I could answer this in the most effective way.
Yeah.
The first part is because there's an understanding that a lot of people out there need help. Like they need your help. A lot of business owners need help. And the thing that we always say, you know, when we're talking to people and put content out is like, somebody out there is desperately searching for the solution you provide to their problem, but you have to be able to put that solution in front of them. Otherwise, they'll never be able to find it. So it doesn't matter how talented you are, doesn't matter how many certifications you are, doesn't matter what degree you have. If they don't know you exist, then it makes it difficult. The opportunity for a lot of professors, students, and all that is to be able to become that specialized person. So what I'll say, and you know what's crazy is, I think y'all could find this on YouTube or something. Back in January, I made a prediction about SEO. And I said what would tend to happen is over the course of the year, more and more businesses will start to take SEO from being a buzzword into something that's more of like, I need to do this for my business. Part of it is because we've moved into a totally digital space for a ton of stuff. And so now it's not back in the day. I mean, word of mouth still works, but it's not back in the day where you could basically just skate by with like mediocre stuff. Now people are doing their research. They're trying to find the best. Google's only concerned about Google. So they want to put their best customers in front of their best options. So why should people start these businesses? One, you get to have the same specialty as, say, a surgeon, right? Think about it this way. There's a lot of marketers out there, and there's a ton of people that even run ads. And I'm somebody who runs ads, by the way, right? But even with SEO, not a lot of people fully understand how to do SEO. The reason why I started out by saying Karl's really, really smart at this, I don't say this to like get brownie points or to like boost his ego. He is an extreme specialist in this space. So I know there are things that he understands and I understand, that I know somebody that maybe learned SEO from a course that was like 5 modules 10 years ago. There's some things that they won't be able to pick up. Can they get by? Yes, but can they get it to the level of efficiency and execution that can be done at this point? So there's a specialty way where people are searching for the best person. The thing you have to understand if you want to be able to start an SEO agency, that people are literally willing to pay whatever so long as they understand that you can help them solve their problem. We've learned that the price tag rarely is the issue. It's just a lot of people don't understand the value they bring to the table. And because they don't understand that, there's this wide open space. Do I ever think the SEO field will become saturated? No. Why? Not because a lot of people are not really willing to put in the level of work that we've had to put in. Okay. So that's where I think if people are thinking about, you want to start an agency, you want to start an SEO business, this is to your advantage. There's so much space. We were just talking earlier this week about niching down even more, right? Like even more. And I'll say it, right? And here's a gem for those of y'all who are thinking about it. We're talking about endodontists and how for endodontists, our SEO coach told us like there's not even 5 businesses in the United States that serve endodontists with SEO. So there's so much space. So don't look at it like it's crowded. Don't look at it like you can't, you can definitely win and you can definitely help a lot of people, but you just have to understand how to maneuver it. But on the back end of it, it's going to be, I mean, if it's a lucrative thing people are looking for, it'll definitely be lucrative. If they're looking to have a lot of impact, to be able to carve out their own space, it'll definitely work for them. But there's so many advantages to starting an SEO agency. And it's also one of the businesses that once you've set it up correctly and you have people coming in, you can turn that thing from outbound to inbound. And when it's inbound, your life is going to be sweet. So that's why y'all should start one.
Yeah.
And to add to your wisdom, Paul, I think as well, a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to SEO, like Paul was saying, it's not a market that can really get saturated if you niche down. Like even in our SEO mastermind that we're in, one of our peers, he has an SEO company that targets plumbers, and he's making a killing out of that. You know, most people would say like plumbers, like, oh, they don't pay or they don't have any money. But when you're really good at what you do, people will pay whatever premium you put in front of them. especially when you present it as it being an investment, because that's what it is, and I think the other benefit too, F Scott, to piggyback off the question that you asked, another benefit from a new grad standpoint is you can come out of school, and if you decided I want to be the physical therapist within my area or within my niche, let's say, for example, one of our clients right now, she is targeting pickleball players. She's a PT and her focus is pickleball players. Let's say she came out of school and what we know about SEO, she knew she could very easily put herself on page 1 of Google. She could very easily climb up page 1 of Google and very easily give herself way more exposure, way more revenue as well, and so that's even something now that me and Paul have talked about, to where we're like talking about doing these challenges where we just create a website and we literally just take that website from 0 to 100 just to show people like, look, this is what's possible with it, because some people still don't understand it, and I get that because it's so technical, and we've been studying and learning this stuff for some years now, so it's not like an overnight thing. There's a learning curve that comes with it as well, but ultimately it's a really great way to brand yourself, especially when you have pre-PTs, SPTs, students in general that always kind of talk about, how do I stand out, how do I make myself the person that these jobs want to hire, et cetera, build it and they will come. For myself, when I was in school, I wasn't focused on building for me because we were so focused on building for our clients. But now that I'm done with school, the conversations that me and Paul are having are different. And now it's like, okay, well, let's build for our clients, but let's build for us too. Let's build our SEO stuff as well, and so that's been pretty fun, juggling both, but it's a really good opportunity to brand yourself, especially because most new grads are coming out and they don't have any money. You don't have money for ads. You can't run ads on whatever platform or whatever your brand is. You unless you had a business that was making money in school, you don't have that kind of capital. And so this is a very low capital way for you to be able to build something, and a gem that I'll give for any new grads or any students listening that are like, hey, I want to do this, create a WordPress website. WordPress is one of the most user-friendly and SEO-friendly sites that are out there, and you can create that and then learn everything else via YouTube, and you can create something that will really help you out in the long run. So I just wanted to add to Paul's wisdom on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on a lot of really good points there, right? Like, first off, I don't know if the audience caught this or not, but you guys said that you were in an SEO mastermind, right? That's key. I mean, that's something that I've done. I've paid for multiple masterminds and I believe in them because I need to know what I need to know, and I got to find the right person who knows it so that I can learn it quicker. And that's, why I've been through multiple masterminds, because I've needed certain things at certain times, and not everybody can provide everything all the time. So you find the best person you can for that thing you need. You go in, you do it, you learn, and boom, it 10x's your speed and your timeline to get whatever information is that you need out of it, right? So I believe in masterminds. I'm a big fan, right? But a lot of the masterminds I took were to develop and learn skill sets that I did not have at some point, right? At first, like running Facebook ads, for instance, right? I had to figure out how to get more cash pay clients into my mobile business, right? So I started by running Facebook ads and didn't work that well. And I knew that they were working for other people. So I knew it wasn't the ads. I knew it was me, right? So I took a mastermind on Facebook ads, got better at it. Then once I got good enough at it, I could kind of help start implementing it to other businesses and other people that had the same issues that I did. So, I think that it's important to know that you don't have to have all these skill sets. And a lot of them you're not going to get from graduate school. You're not going to get from medical school or PT school or dental school, whatever. They don't teach this stuff. I would say maybe Cairo a little bit does some marketing, but not on this level. This is stuff that you have to go out above and beyond and really learn on your own. You've got to seek out these skill sets. And I think if you do that, that brings us to kind of the final point I wanted to touch on. You'll separate yourself from everybody else, right? If you're a new grad, right? Or even, if you're still in school and you wanted to start something like this and you have learned the skill set of SEO, well, then you could start a business theoretically while you were in school and potentially pay off your student loans while you were in school, based on your business. That would be great, But I think it's also important to realize that SEO is one of those things that can bring you authority and expertise, not instantly, but you build it little by little over time. And if you're doing all the right things and you're constantly posting and you're constantly blogging and you've got a book out and you become the person who is the expert and authority on that thing. And then eventually people start reaching out to you for business and they start coming to you. You don't have to reach out for clients and new leads because people are coming to you because they just know you as the guy or the gal that does the thing, whatever it is that they need. And SEO can really help with that. So I think it's an important task and an important skill set that people need to, at the very least, know about, because at the end of the day, if you're like me and you're just not that good at it, but you know enough to get by, it'll allow you to outsource appropriately, right? And pay the right people to do what you're looking for and talk knowledgeably enough on it to realize, hey, this person knows what they're talking about versus that guy has no clue, So that kind of helps as well, I think.
Allow me to add a little bit to your wisdom.
Yeah, please.
Real quick. Because I think one of the things people have to understand too about this process, and I heard it eloquently put by one of my friends, it's all proven speculation, right? It's all proven speculation. Proven because, like you said with the Facebook, you've seen it work multiple times. Speculation because it just hasn't worked for you yet. And I think a lot of people, what the benefit, even like how you're talking about, you could do this thing while you were in school. Really, truth be told, you can honestly do this SEO agency thing while you're in school. I mean, will your life be busy? Yes, but will your loans be paid? Absolutely. Now, I think what a lot of people also should understand is because of the amount of time. The reason why we're in an SEO mastermind, and even the thing we've noticed is that by joining it, we collapsed so much time. We thought, I'll be very honest, and Karl can say if he agrees with me, we thought we knew a lot prior to the mastermind. We really thought we knew this SEO thing. We joined it and we were like, holy crap. We knew 100% of 5% of everything. We knew all of 5%, right? And so one, the time collapsing is key, but then two, there's still time that's in between. So I think for a lot of people that have been curious about something like this, don't delay the amount of time between where you are now and when you start, because there's, I think we just put up content the other day when I was talking about one of the things I wish we even did earlier was to take bigger chunks, like take bigger bites of the metaphorical apple. So starting early so we could learn enough lessons, sometimes called failures, learn enough lessons early on so we could understand where we needed to go. I think a lot of people find themselves struggling just simply because they haven't even taken step one, because it's disguised as this thing that I'm going to do this after grad school. I don't have time now. YouTube is there, Google is there, social media is there. There's so much content about SEO and marketing that's available. I think people just need to take step one and allow yourself to go through that time. We've been doing this for years now, and it's just now starting to feel like we're really in our groove, right? So we could look at this and say, okay, 2018, 2019, so forth, so on, we were starting to learn a ton of stuff, but now it's like we put in all that time, but even in that benefit to joining the mastermind, it's allowed us to be like, hey, okay, we now know how to even serve our people so they can get here faster, so they can get these results faster. I think that's really what it comes to at the end of the day. People not allowing that proven speculation to be the roadblock that prevents them from actually taking that next step.
Yeah, I mean, SEO is a long play, right? Podcasts are a long play, books are a long play. Like that, the want and desire to have it today, right now, this minute, like not much does that anymore. So unless you're ready to buckle up and hold it down for a long term, a lot of this stuff isn't right for you. So why don't you guys give us like one tip or key trick that you've learned over the years now doing SEO for somebody who's just getting started or looking to help boost their SEO or work on something? What's one takeaway you could give the audience?
Okay, I'll start. Just fill in the gaps. I think that's where a lot of people should start at the beginning. Don't get caught up in trying to go after the super flashy stuff that everybody's trying to go after. And the reason why I say that is because there's a reason everything's on Google. Now, there's super easy ways to also see what kind of traffic goes after certain keywords, if we'll call them, right? There are some keywords that have a traffic of 0. There's some, like we were talking yesterday, 1,300. So just learn how to find the gaps in between. If somebody's going after back pain, if somebody's going after shoulder pain, if somebody's going after hip pain, and you're competing against these corporate Fortune 500 companies that are dumping $1 million a month into this, just know it's going to take a whole lot to beat them. So instead of running that race at the beginning, just fill in the gaps and find the stuff in between hip pain and neck pain and back pain and start to talk about that stuff, because Google will automatically also suggest other things people look for in relation to that original fancy thing. And also on the other side too, just because somebody has hip pain doesn't mean they're going to just Google hip pain. They might be going after like pain while I'm running or pain while I'm on the Peloton. My back cramps up when I bend over too much. They'll look after different things. So just fill in the content gaps, find the stuff that has traffic and start there.
You said one thing and you gave like 3. It's
all right. We'll take them. We'll take them all.
You're good, bro. I'm just messing with you. To add to what Paul said, I would say know your intent. Know the intent behind the search. So what do I mean when I say that? I think Paul alluded to it a little bit just now, which is a lot of times people can see a particular keyword and think, for example, like let's say that the keyword that is in there, like Paul said, was something related to pain or hip pain, or let's say plantar fasciitis, right? A lot of people see that and they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to put plantar fasciitis 1,000 times on this one page and Google has to recognize me, right? It's like, no, it doesn't at all. There's so many different intents when it comes to keywords. There's transactional intent, which shows they want to buy something. There's navigational or like a brand intent where, they want that brand. If someone goes in Google and they type off the clock SEO, we know they're looking for us. You know what I'm saying? And so if you go back to this word plantar fasciitis and you look at page 1, you're like, I want to get there on page 1. And you see all the results on page 1 are for people that wrote blogs on plantar fasciitis, then that tells me the intent behind that word is informational or educational. So I want to create a piece that reflects that versus, let's say someone went on Google and they typed in, let's say they're a dietitian and they say, you know what? I want to rank for the keyword calorie counter, and they go on there and they're like, before they even look, they say, I'm just going to create a blog about a calorie counter. I'm going to tell people what it is, how much they cost, what they mean, what these numbers entail, and I should be good, right? And then they go out and they create this blog piece. They spend all these hours making it, and it's a flop. But if they would have just went to Google and looked on page one, they would have realized everyone on page one didn't create a blog. They had an actual calorie counter that they created. And so if you would have created your own calorie counter, you would have put yourself at an advantage to be in the conversation. So one of the biggest things, shout out to Gotch, shout out to our fearless mastermind leader and coach. He's the GOAT. But I think one of the biggest things that I've learned from him and over time is intent is very important. And you want to make sure that the intent for whatever keyword that you're going for matches the intent of the top searches or the top pages on Google for that specific keyword, because they're there for a reason. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense when you break it down that way. So thank you guys for that. Where can people reach out to you and find more info if they just want to catch up, see what you're up to, see what kind of services you offer? Where can people find you on social media and all the interwebs?
Off the clock SEO on everything. You could YouTube off the clock. You could YouTube off the clock SEO. You can Google off the clock. You can Google off the clock SEO. On Instagram, it's off the clock SEO. On Facebook, it's off the clock SEO. You can see what we started to do here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just find us on everything. We have a bunch of stuff we put out there. Currently putting a video about SEO stuff on YouTube every single day. So y'all can find a whole bunch of stuff, and you can text us 813-797-5583. Just let us know who you are. Just don't text hey. It'll be weird. You might get ignored. But yeah, we're always open to just, chatting if people want to talk about their SEO needs or where they even need to get started. We always like to do strategy calls. You don't have to feel like you're trying to get into a contract with us. We just genuinely want to be able to help you get started and point you in the right direction. And so, yeah, you could do that off the clock SEO. Text us 813-797-5583.
Awesome. I'll drop all those links in the show notes, make it easy to find. Fellas, always a pleasure, man. Great catching up. I look forward to seeing what you guys got going on in the future.
Likewise, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.